Well, hello there, everybody, and thanks for coming by and joining in. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Ron Crow, what's up, buddy? Jim Miller, Bob Tism, Marco, James McCann. I see everybody's here. How's everybody tonight? Doing all right? Okay. So this was an interesting week. We got some new stuff in. I'm going to change that angle just slightly. Addicted to Blades too. Hello there. Maybe not. Maybe I'll go right there. Okay. So we did get some new stuff into the channel, and I figured I'd show you guys what we got. We'll start off small and go big. First thing that came in was something that is pretty cool. See that? That's a little utility blade that was 3D printed by my friend Justin. And it's kind of cool. He 3D prints a lot of stuff. And he 3D printed this, and let me just unlock it. Whoops. So he 3D printed this. What's up, Greg Vanderlip? And it's a really nice little utility knife. And slides back and forth, and it actually locks in either position. You know, I thought that was kind of cool. But he gave this to me on Monday. Then Tuesday, he followed that up with this. Check this out. He 3D printed this, and that's an OTF utility blade. Burnt Relic, what's up? 100% 3D printed. Really cool. Blade locks up in there really nice too. And has some great action. Brian White, what's up? Roger Baker, hello there. So what do you guys think of that? Pretty cool, right? And 100% 3D printed. So kind of cool. I dig that. Homer Feltus, what's up? 1931 Leatherworks, hello there. Jesse, hello, welcome in. Cicero, hello. But you know what's cool about this? This is just really fidgety. I could sit there and do this all day. Salvo Zen, hello. So kind of cool. I don't know. You guys gotta let me know what you think. I told him he should print these out and sell them. But you know, he gave that to me. It's kind of cool. So let's show you something else that came in. Another little knife that came in is this little Spyderco slip joint. Check that out. This is the Grasshopper. Just a little slip joint Spyderco. Really little guy. But has some great ergos for a tiny little knife. Alex Kerber, hello there. Long time no see, buddy. No, it's all, there's no metal screws on that at all. It's just all solid. In fact, I'm not even sure. I haven't opened this up yet. I'm not even sure how to change the blade on that, to be honest. But, oh, I know how. All right, yeah. Okay, you just pull it forward. Yeah, okay, you just pull it forward to pull the blade out and just swap it back in. But, I mean, so far it's pretty cool. I don't know if I would hard use this, but it is fun to play with, you know. But okay, so getting back to the Spyderco, this is the Spyderco Grasshopper. Just a little guy. Oh, got clean off the blade there. Got some fingerprints on it. Swipe that off. Neil McKenzie, what's up? William Hornbustle, hello. So just a nice little Spyderco. I actually bought this off of OCD for EDC. He had a really good deal on these. And this is one from the Spyderco Collectors Club. So it's got a unique marking there. This was a special edition, this one. So kind of cool. And if you've never bought anything from OCD for EDC, they do a really good job of shipping everything out quick. Everything is as promised. So kind of cool. And they always throw a couple little extras in the bag or a box, whatever. A couple little goodies. Jim, I probably pronounced it correctly because I'm half Italian, so, you know. So next thing that came in was what I have here in the slip. And this is the new Jack Wolf Gateway Barlow. What a beautiful knife. Has an excellent walk and talk. Just a beautiful, really, really beautiful knife. I'm really impressed because this is the first Jack Wolf I've ever gotten, and this is one of the, they're really budget knives. So, Brown Sugar, hello there. So with this being a budget knife, I didn't know what to expect, but I got to tell you, it's on par with Rosecraft, and I suspect, but don't know and don't have any proof, that whoever is making Rosecraft's slip joints is also making this. They're so similar in their construction, but this is a nice sized slip joint too. And I can get 4 fingers on there, and it's such solid that, that half stop is really great. And the fit and finish are amazing. The only thing I was disappointed in is the color doesn't reflect accurately to what they show on the website. But on the website, they showed the rosewood as being more of an actual red color, where this is a brown. But either way, it's just a beautiful knife. Yeah, I agree. Although, I don't know, is 14C28N really better than D2? I think it's your perspective on it. It could be, but it's not going to have the edge retention of D2. What it's going to have is better corrosion resistance, But I really think they're pretty close, I know a lot of people like 1428, but, and I'm one of them too. I do like it a lot, but I don't know if it's that much superior, So let's see what else came in. This came in, and if you guys were just watching Aries, he was showing his, and this one's mine. This is the Ferrum Monster, the Glideman, and this one has no, it's not that kind of special. The reveal that's coming up in a while is what's really special. But this is the Glideman, and this one is in the bronze stonewashed. And as Aries was saying before, this is just an amazing knife. Really ergonomically just about perfect. Just everything about this, the way it deploys, the way it locks up, just a great knife. Sounds amazing. But yeah, that came in this week to go with my other Ferrum Monster that Joe Casper gave me. So there are my 2 Ferrum Monsters now. And I'm absolutely loving Ferrum Monster. And Wixco. I've done a whole bunch of videos for Wixco. But I just love this. It just feels so great. Feel-wise, this is probably, out of the 2 Ferrum Monsters, this one feels better in the hand but the Aurora Rays is just such a better looking knife. And it feels pretty good too. But I mean, you know. But I got to give it to Ferrum Monster. They're just doing great stuff. So something else came in, just kind of a real budget knife that Flissa sent. And that's this guy. This one, you have to deploy by pulling it out. There's no flipper on it. There's no thumb stud. There is a thumb opening, but it's too small for me to actually fit my finger in it or flick it. But this was sent to me by Flissa. I'm going to be doing a video on this. I've seen this knife before. This is I've seen this by Mossy Oak. I think this is just one that they will, you know, just sell to other people and have other people put their name on it, or where Flissa is probably the OEM. But you've got that seatbelt cutter there. You've got your bottle opener here, window breaker on the backside. You know, this would be a cool one just to throw in the glove compartment of the car. You know, my only concern with this knife, and again, there's no flipper on it, which would have made it really perfect, and you can't really deploy it with the thumb. At least I can't. So it's going to be one that you got to operate with two hands. But my biggest concern is with the way the seatbelt cutter is there, if you're like this and you slip, that's going right into your thumb. That is my only concern with this knife. I mean, it feels good. You can get all 4 fingers on it, you know, provided you use the finger choil. Otherwise, you got 3. But I don't know. I think that although they had like, I don't know the word for, although this is going to be useful if you ever have to cut your seatbelt, you know, I just worry about if you're making any other type of cuts and you slip. Now they did put a really aggressive jimping on top, so you're not likely to slip, you know, or if you're using a pinch grip, so to speak, you'd be okay too. But I don't know. What do you think? Would you be worried about that? I mean, it's kind of a cool looking knife, you know. Looks, let's be honest, it kind of looks gas station, but a little better, I think. But I think I would be concerned about that. So let's see what else came in. What else came in this week? I'm going to save the best for last. So this came in. I did a short on this yesterday. This is the CJRB Bolt. And this has their kind of shark lock, you know, kind of dream lock, whatever you want to call it. But this is different because it's attached to the access lock. So you're going to press down here and it'll close right up. So that's kind of cool. AR RPM 9 blade steel, drop point, you know, with a slight, you know, if that was just cut a little bit deeper, it would be a clip point, but it's not. It's a drop point. Full four finger grip there, and if you can even choke up there into the finger choil, and the jimping is excellent. G10, so it's a little bit better than say like the Pyrite Light. You know, deep carry clip, that's reversible, and it just kind of feels really good. Really happy with this one, and I like the black with the orange. You know, it looks red on screen, but I like the thumb stud on that. Looks really cool. Yes, Savo Zen, kinda. Yeah, that's the thing that worries me on it. But again, that's the CJRB Bolt. And this light keeps going out. Then we got this one from BPS. BPS fixed blade. This is the, what do they call this one? This is the fin. The Poker Fin. It's a poker style blade. Scandi grind. Really, really feels great. It's a high carbon steel, so it's not stainless. So as you're using this, you'll get that nice patina on it over time, or you can force patina it, you know, in vinegar or something acidic, mustard or something to that effect if you wanted to do that. I want to do it, let it do its thing naturally. I did add the lanyard. I do like to, on this type of knife, wrap that around my pinky. So that way, for some reason, if it slips, it's just going to be right there. I'm not going to drop it to the ground or drop it into my foot or anything. But these are really cool. I mean, these come in at 22 bucks. And I've watched a billion reviews on this, exaggerating, but I've watched a few reviews and everybody loves this knife. And it feels really good. A couple of things, there's no jimping on top, but it is at a 90-degree angle, so perfect for a ferro rod. This would make a nice little bushcrafting knife. And the sheath is really nice. It comes with the rivets already in place. I happen to put this I don't even know who makes this one, but I bought a pack of 9 of these off of eBay. Not eBay, Amazon. And these work pretty well. They're really tight, but they're plastic. It'll break over time, but it's only temporary until I figure out. I think I want to get the new Ulti clip, but the actual wire style. I think that would work really great on this. Well, exactly, Jim. I've never seen one either, but I would like it. I've actually thought about it. Gentlemen of honor, I've actually thought about it, getting a jimping file and filing my own jimping into it right there. Or really maybe up further where I would place my thumb, you know, because there's still enough of a 90-degree angle over here to use for a ferro rod, you know. But, and the final thing that came into the channel, which we will reveal shortly. So, you know, about a month ago now, I got this guy, the Kubi Bloom, designed by Scott, aka Aries EDC, Mind of Milton. I love this so much that when he announced he was opening the books, I messaged him instantly that I wanted in, and in I got. So again, this is the Kubi Bloom, and this made me want to get one of Aries' original knives, to which I got this one. You saw it in his videos over the last 3 weeks, where he was building this. And let's get it out. Look at that. So I went with the harpoon, the Bloom harpoon. And I chose the Royal Blue Kieranite with the yellow G10 pins. This is an 80 CRV. I didn't want to go Nitro V on this. I like the 80 CRV for my fixed blades. It has jimping in here. Now let's compare this to the production version. So if you look size-wise, they're almost identical. Almost identical. What you'll notice right away is that on the custom version, the handle's a bit thicker than on the Kubi. And the jimping is more aggressive on the Kubi than on the Aries original. So Yeah, William, I love this material. It just looks phenomenal. You know, and he made the matching bead. Let's see if you guys can see the bead. And the bead just looks awesome as well. So, like I said, a couple of things you notice right away. Also, too, on the Aries version, the handmade one, the handles are even with the tang. Where on the Kubi version, the tang sits proud above the micarta. Um, both of them feel great in the hand, but I got to tell you, this feels better because it's a little thicker. Where this is narrow. Now, like I said, I love this one so much that I had to get this one. And I love harpoons, so I was like, that was just a no brainer for me. You know, what's really cool is if basically when Scott opens the books, he sends you a form where you pick your blade shape. Paul Mills, what's up? You pick your blade shape, you pick the steel you want, then you pick the handle materials, um, and any other little things like I requested the jimping here. It doesn't necessarily have the jimping, you know, but really awesome knife. Yes, exactly, Roger. That's exactly why I like this so, even better than the production. Now, the one thing I noticed right away with the sheaths. Um, so the first thing I did, I ordered blue straps. Unfortunately, they are not the right blue. They This is more of like a navy blue. The blue straps that came in are like that, and I didn't think they'd look right, so I haven't put those on yet. But a couple of things I noticed when you compare the sheaths, the thumb push off on the production sheath is much bigger than on the handmade sheath. So what I'm going to show you here is kind of what happens. That is a little tricky. And actually, I wanted to mention that to Scott. What happens here is my finger actually just pushes right over that. So really, when I have this on my belt and I pull it, I'm pulling it more backwards without using my thumb to deploy it. Where on the production boom, that's much bigger. My thumb can get right in there, and I can just push this off with my thumb. So, yeah, there it is. So that's a little difference. But otherwise, I'll take this one over the production every day of the week that ends in Y. So that's what makes this episode a very special episode, because this is a very special knife. You know, also too because on the production you've got Kubi written there, where on Scott's you have the actual Aries EDC logo, where on the Kubi his maker's mark is on the backside. But really cool, you know. But definitely like these a lot. Good night, Paul. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, William, yours is really beautiful too. Um, you know, after I saw yours, the only thing I might have changed on this one is I might have had him put a glow liner on these, like a blue glow liner, because I really like everything in the world that glows. You know, for those, you guys have to check out Williams. Williams also got in on this one, and his knife is gorgeous as well. He went with the purple, with the glow material under the scales, just absolutely stunning. I actually think that his and mine are the two best out of the ones Aries produced this round. You know, but I might be biased. Definitely biased because blue, well, blue, green, and purple are like my favorite colors. So, but I went with the blue. I didn't want to go with the green because I have so many knives that are green. You know, so I wanted something different, and this with the blue and the yellow just really, really stunning. Yeah, exactly, Jim. Okay, so I would have done it different after I saw Williams, but who knows? Maybe down the line I order another one with a different blade shape. You know, he's got the gargoyles that look really cool. He's got a couple little bigger knives now. You know, so who knows what's in the future? But for right now, this is going to be my go-to EDC everyday fixie. You know, um, but I'll still wind up switching out my knives like every couple of days. But it's just, you know, I want to definitely want. I'm kind of like, is this a? It's a Grail fixie for sure. You know, and what's nice is it's a one of a kind. No one else is going to have this. Yeah, the harpoon gargoyle is really a nice blade. I really like that a lot. You know, Gorgon. Nice. That would be awesome, Jim. 100%. That would be beautiful. But those are the things that came in this week. Um, so not it wasn't a big haul this week, and I swear I'm forgetting something else, and I don't remember. But there might be one more knife that came in. I'm not thinking about. But that's really what came in. You know, it wasn't a lot, and relatively mostly inexpensive stuff. You know, with the exception of the Ferrum Monster and the, you know, and the Aries. But yeah. So what did I carry today? Well, I actually carried the Bloom and the Bolt and the whatchamacallit and the Jack Wolf. Those were the three knives I carried today. What do you guys carry? Yeah, Jim, you got to get one that just, you know, pops, you know? Definitely get one that pops. I've got a lot of subdued knives, but lately I've been getting into more, you know, brightly colored and that sort of thing. Hey, Stacy, welcome in. I guess I missed you stopping in, but I'm glad you're here. So, oh, and Stacy, I got your stickers, by the way. Thank you very much. I got to send some out to you. I got to send a lot of stickers out. I owe people a lot of stickers, and I have them. I've got already pretty much to go. I just have to get to getting them. I've got the list and I've got everything. So I'll get those stickers out this week. You know. Yeah, exactly, Bob. The Wolverines and Sabretooths are both back out, and they have. It seems like they have more stock this time. They haven't sold through them like they did on that first run. You know, and those are two excellent knives at a really great price point. You know, um, I'm not really in the market for a new knife right now. Otherwise, I might get one, but I think I'm going to lay off on getting any new knives for right now because one, I have a lot of content. I have a lot of knives that I have to shoot for upcoming content. So with that, I don't know. It's one of those things where I just yeah I don't think I'm going to be buying anything for maybe about a month. I don't know. I have some stuff coming to me that companies are sending me, and I've got some stuff there in boxes that you know um, have to be shot. That I also have stuff from pass along groups that I have to shoot and get out this week. So like I don't really need any knives to make new content. I have a bunch here. So expect that kind of stuff. You know, I did those two videos in the last couple of weeks. I did the one on the Max Edition pouch and I did the Arc Company pouch. You guys seem to like the Arc Company pouch a lot better than the Max Edition. Am I reading that correctly? You know, from everything I've seen, that's what you guys seem to like a lot more of. A lot of people didn't like the Maxpedition because it didn't open like a clamshell. It had that zipper down the middle. I heard some kickback on that wasn't everybody's favorite. But I got some really good feedback on that ARC company, so that's kind of cool, you know. But yeah, I'm trying to integrate other content and make this more of a all-around EDC channel as opposed to just knives, you know. But I love my knives, so there's that. There was something I wanted to show you guys. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. So what was everybody carrying? Kubi Noble, Kubi Noble, okay. The Gerber US1, Tiny Sog, and the Ferrum Miniway. Okay, nice. Rosecrest, Savage Creek, Gunstag. Nice. Jim Miller, that's a nice carry. Let's see, what do we got? Oh yeah. Are you looking back behind me? Are you looking at that right there? Yeah, that's a Ghostbusters lithograph that I bought from the author, from the artist, and it's signed. Is that the one you were looking at, Salvo Zen? Hey, Joe. Glad you're here, buddy. Gerber Camp Knife Fixed Blade. Okay. Hey, Matt Maurer. What's going on, buddy? Gerber Center Drive. Tempest Downdraft. Nice. And the Mini Pyrite. Good carry. Nice carry, actually. Oh, yeah. Yes, Salvo Zen. That's the original Ghostbusters from the 70s. That's over there next to the Ghostbusters lithograph. Yep. Mm-hmm. So at some point, you know what? I'm going to turn the light on so you can kind of see what's back there. I did say this might be a lights on episode, but so yeah, that lithograph is signed by the author. That picture is actually signed by Larry Storch from the original Ghostbusters, also of F Troop fame. I mean, if you look around, there's all kinds of autograph stuff. I've got Brad Williams, the stand-up comedian, his autograph there. CJ Ramon, Nita Strauss, a bunch of pro wrestlers, the Misfits. I've got a Ramones gold record, Eric Singer from Kiss. You know, there's all kinds of goodies here. Robbie the Robot, Einstein, Bigfoot, and all kinds of fun stuff. NWA Championship belt, you know, a TIE Fighter, autographed drumsticks from my friend Sal from Typo Negative. You know, just all kinds of stuff. You know, guitars, amps. This is the room where I come and hide. That light. So, just all kinds of fun stuff in here. This is definitely a, whatchamacallit, a man-child's room. Kaiser Nice Guy. Nice, Kelly. Man, that silver twill wingspan is amazing. I love that knife so much. And I'm glad I bought it. Just a really great. Oh yeah, Bob. We're still big NWA fans, you know? And the NWA is going strong. Ever since Billy Corgan bought them like 6 years ago, he rebuilt the brand and really putting out some good stuff. Correct, Cicero. You are correct. That's not just you're a TIE fighter. You know? But yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff in here. Man, what in the heck was that? I don't know what that is. I think that light's dying. So I wasn't even going to, I'll be honest, wasn't going to be on tonight. We had tickets to a concert tonight, and we decided not to go at the last minute. We were going to go, we had tickets to go see Weird Al Yankovic at Bethel Woods tonight. And I just didn't feel well early today. My wife didn't really feel well. We were just like, no, it's, it's like an hour drive there. And then concert was starting at 8. And by the time we would have got back, I would have never been able to do the live. But also, Daniel Smith, hello there. Glad you found me. But, we would have went to the concert, but we would have got back really late. And my wife's got to be up at like 6 in the morning for work, But Sister, yeah, you are correct. I believe that is the Reaper. Yep. But we've got a bunch of other concerts coming up in the next few weeks, so it's like, all right, we just skip this one. Sunday's a tough one. Yeah, exactly. Old people getting old. But yeah, it was a last minute decision. We were going to go, and I was just going to tell everybody we're not going to go live. But then it's like, you know what? We also had the wrestling pay-per-view tonight, the Evolution pay-per-view. Hey, Bill. But hey, Bill, I'm going to shoot you a text this week. We've got the knife show coming up in August, and we got to figure out if you're going to go, and if you want to go. It's the custom knife show, the one in New York. It's the bigger one, so I definitely want to hit that one up. No, we didn't go, Bill. We didn't go to Weird Al. We wound up not going. I mean, the concert's actually going on now. It started at 8, and Puddles, the Pity Clown, was the opening act. So, but yeah, we just didn't wind up going. But we have a bunch of concerts coming up, and it's just like, I don't know. Sunday nights are just tough. Even weekday nights at this point are tough, but there are a couple of them that, plus, like I said, we weren't feeling it today. We were both out of it. I wound up sleeping on and off through most of the day. But no, it's later in the month. I think it's like around the 22nd, 23rd, Bill. So, but yeah. The black sheets for coat, green micarta. Oh, I missed which knife that was, Cicero. I mean, Roger. KR Knife Reviews review. Hello there. I just noticed you're here. But so to make it easier for me to see the chat, the Tenable Model 6. Those are back in stock now, aren't they? From what I saw. No, you're not old, Jen. I'm not ignoring you. But see, the thing about that, Bob, is Sepultura will keep you awake no matter how old and tired you are. Especially if you throw yourself in the pit. But you know how usually I'm looking up at this screen here? Well, I set up my iPad down below with the chat. So even though it's a couple of seconds behind on the video, the chat seems to be up to date. So now I'm looking down as opposed to looking up, because I had Lou making fun of the fact that he could look up my nostrils. Where is Lou? Is Lou here? Is he lurking again? And just keeping quiet because he's protesting that my lights aren't spinning again. I opened up that light. Hey, Derek. I opened up that light earlier today and the motor shot. the lights work, but the motor's shot. So, oh well. You left the fish concert early. Pops in later than usual. But I've always said Fish is the Grateful Dead if the Grateful Dead had talent. So, this is one of my favorite knives. This is my Benchmade, the one that I upgraded the scales on. But I like it because it's such a different looking Benchmade than everybody else's Benchmade. Oh, okay. Oh, so you weren't there in person. Gotcha. Gotcha. But I am wearing the Casio Royale today. One of my favorite digital watches, the Casio Royale. If it's good enough for James Bond, it's good enough for me. In fact, there's a picture of Daniel Craig in his James Bond tuxedo wearing this watch, and me and a friend at work I got into the same pose, and she took the picture. So I have a picture somewhere of Daniel Craig and myself wearing the same watch. Like I said, if it's good enough for James Bond, it's good enough for me. You know. But yes, that's what's on the wrist tonight. The Casio Royale. Yeah, I mean it's it's a really inexpensive watch. I mean during Prime Day, I think they went down to like something like $24 or something, you know. But it's a Casio and it's the world time. It looks cool. And if you're into modding, there's a shit ton of mod kits out there, so you can mod you can mod this. I saw one that they changed this into having the NASA logo on it and changed everything about it to make this really cool NASA style watch. And I was like, man, that's cool. But you can't. There's a couple of parts you can't get. I mean, I guess you could print them up somewhere. I don't know. But to do that mod, it winds up costing like $200. I'm like, I am not spending $200 to mod a $29 watch. That's just crazy. Even though it looks great. What else do we have going on? So is that everybody's carry? I know we've got a bunch of people in here, and you know, we've got 42 people, and I know I didn't get 42 people's carries. Nice. That's a nice Casio. You know, like I said, last weekend, the local Walmart by me, actually, the local Walmart by me, we were just stopped in there today, and they still had a lot of the watches on clearance. I didn't pick any up today because there was nothing that really jumped out at me because the ones I liked I already bought. But I mean, like they have the Tough Solar there. It's down to like $7, something like that, from like $41 at this point. You know, they had some different ones, and they had some Timex ones that went down. Orient makes some really excuse me, really nice watches at decent price points. Which petrified fish, William? I love my petrified fish. I only have one, but laser pointer, Smith and Watch 16. Nice. Popped around the house, so all my carry stuff was seconds away. Yeah, Orient makes some really nice dive watches. You know, great automatic watches, and you know, for the $300 to $400 price point, they're really great. Your big dumb Hinderer. Why is it a dumb hinderer? Hinderer knives are nice, you know. The mini Militar, awesome. QSP Penguin, but I showed you guys last week. I got that Militar in, and it's a nice the mini Militar. It's a nice knife, but I prefer the full size. I just the full size just fits my hand better. Dismantle the coppers, show scale. Nice, nice. Copper show scale. But yeah, I don't know. Ron, what do you think? I mean, you have both. You have the mini and the full size. Do you prefer the mini over the full size? I mean, I know your full size is like a Grail knife, so yeah, Derek. Yeah, that's not something I would think either. You know what watches I've been checking out? They're relatively inexpensive and they make some really cool stuff. Is North Edge. North Edge makes some really nice watches that sub $100 price point for a solar powered pro diver that's actually certified. That's pretty impressive. Um, Solar, so you never have to worry about changing a battery on it. And since it is quartz, it's going to keep more accurate time than the automatic. And the only thing I don't like on it, but it's not even that a big deal to me, is that it's a mineral crystal as opposed to a ruby sapphire. Sapphire is just a little bit better. Hey, Dale. Yep, we're at 1.6. We'll probably hit 1.7 by the end of next week if things are going the way they're going. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but we're progressing pretty well. And all right, guys. So I thought we would have been monetized by tonight. We came up 3 hours short. 3 hours short. As opposed to a 3 hour tour, a 3 hour tour. But yeah, we came up 3 hours short. So probably tomorrow, because it's usually, so today was reading from up to last Monday. So it's about 6 days behind or so. But thanks, William. I appreciate that. You know, but yeah, like I said, we're 3 hours behind. That might even hit tomorrow because Tuesday's views will, or yeah, Tuesday's views will factor into it. So we might hit that 3 hour point. But if not, definitely by next week. You know, but yeah, we will get there, and that'll be fun. I've got some things in my mind as far as what I want to do for the memberships. I want to do some membership only videos and like a monthly membership only giveaway type of thing. You know, so that way you definitely get something for being a member. You know, so Bobism. So when you go out to California, out to Anaheim, the lagoon where they shot the opening sequence, where the lagoon is actually a beach that's out in that area in California, and we took a boat tour of the area. I was out there on a work trip, and one of the companies took us out on a cruise. It was a 3 hour cruise around the bay, showing us all the celebrity homes and stuff, and of course you go by that lagoon where they shot Gilligan's Island, and you can't miss it. And all of us on the boat, and I have video. I should probably post it one of these days on the YouTube channel just for fun. All of us were singing the Gilligan's Island theme as we went by where they shot the opening sequence. That's kind of cool. In fact, I'm going to find that. I think I'm going to post that this week, just as a little fun thing. It's only like a 30-second or video or so, but I got to find that. I think that was, I want to say that was like 2019 I was there. But really cool. Like, we had a great time on that trip. It was It was a work trip, but it was a lot of fun, you know. But hey, Kent, welcome in. Yep, it was the SS Minnow. That was the name of the boat. What else do we got here going on? We've still got 41 people in the chat. I appreciate that. You guys are doing awesome. You know. So is there anything on anybody's wish list as far as knives or EDC gear goes? Like I said, I know there's stuff on my list, but nothing I'm imminently going to buy. You know. Also, too, I think right now, I guess, and let me know if you guys kind of feel this way. I'm not seeing a lot of new stuff coming out that's very different than stuff that I already have. That would make me say, I need to have that. You know? Cold Steel Mayhem. I have to check that out. I'm not familiar with that one, Addicted to Blades. But like I said, I don't know. I'm looking at stuff that's coming out, and nothing out there is really like blowing the doors off. Where I say, "Oh man, I need that. I got to add that to my collection." You know, nothing's really catching my eye at the moment, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Anybody want to? No. What, Derek? What collector's set is that? I am unaware of this. I am very unaware of this. I did not know that Salvo Zen. That's awesome. Well, yeah, Alex, that's true too. There are just so many knives out there. KR knife review. The Weird is a great knife. I won that in Big Red's giveaway. You know, the Fugly is a knife that's interesting to me. It is different, and so is the Nanner. But I would actually want the Nanner in the yellow, because if you're gonna have a Nanner, you might as well have a yellow Nanner. Vosteed has some great knives. I've got a few of them. I love my raccoon. Yeah, that's awesome. I wouldn't want it in any other color, KR. You know, it's got to be, if you're gonna get the Nanner, it's got to be yellow, 100%. But Joe, they're going to be back in stock soon as far as the Jack Wolf goes. That's, you weren't here, Joe. Earlier in the live, I was able to get one of the Jack Wolf's Gateway Barlow, and I really like it. The fit and finish on this is just amazing. Like, I really have to say, I would put this up against any other slip joint out there as far as fit and finish goes. I'll put up against, well, let's face it, Case has terrible fit and finish. But I would put this right up there with all the best Rosecrafts that I have, you know, and all the Rosecrafts that I've handled. Oh, you know, Roger, I am I have a lot of Spydercos. Not a lot, but I have 5 Spydercos. But I would say the Manix 2 would be my preference, and then a Para 3. I don't have a Sage, so I can't really comment on it, you know, but I hear they're great. But from my experience of all the ones I've handled, the Manix 2 by far, I think, is even better than the Para 3. It's a nicer size. It's just, it feels better in the hand, you know, and it's got the crossbar lock. Have a good one, Bill. I'll talk to you during the week. But yeah, the Manix 2 is just, that is one of my, that is in my top 3 knives that I own. I love that knife, you know, and theirs is not necessarily a crossbar lock. It's different. It doesn't have Omega springs. So basically the crossbar, so let's just imagine this was the Manix. Instead of having Omega springs like this would have, it's got a spring that goes from the back of the crossbar to about up here. So when you're pulling back, you're actually pulling back on an actual spring as opposed to an Omega spring, you know, a wound spring. But yeah, Derek, I don't have the XL. I have the regular size Manix 2, but I love that knife. Really do. Man, we're almost an hour in already. This is going by fast. And to be truthful, I didn't know if I was going to stay on all that long tonight. Like I said, I was not awake for a large part of this day. I was sleeping on and off. Oh no, it really does. Hang tight for a second. Let me see what case I put the Manix in, if I can get to it or not. All right, Manix. I have the Parrot. They're in the same case. You guys just talk amongst yourselves while I look for knives. I don't think it's this case. I think it's the other case. Oh no, it is this case. Bingo. All right. All right, so now we're back. All right, we're back. All right, we're back. By the way, Bender, awesome. All right, so this is the Para 3, and this is great. No doubt in my mind. I mean, the ergos are fantastic. You've got that place right there with the jimping, when it ramps up. You've got that finger choil. Really comfortable. But the Manix 2 is just bigger, and it's actually not really higher. If you look at the height from where the blade is to the handle, it's not that much higher. The Para 3 is much higher. So that's kind of, that's true. I do get a second wind every time we do one of these lives. You're right. You're right, Joe. But you see the way the ergos are? Right there. You've got your finger choil there, and then full grip, or you can grip it back here if you prefer that, because some people don't like to put their finger in the finger choil. They're afraid it's not safe because the blade's right there. But actually, if you look, you're really kind of protected there from the blade. And this is just perfect. You could cut with this all day long. I mean, the jimping is fantastic. It's a fantastic knife. This is like I said, this is my first choice as far as ergos go. Now, although the ergos on the Para 3, I mean, are good, but that raises up a little higher. So there you can see them in comparison. This is much more streamlined with the handle where this comes up. And in actuality, you know, some people hate the fact that they think Spydercos are ugly with the way that comes up. You don't have that really with the Manix 2. And it's a bigger blade. So. I am always having a good time. Gentlemen of honor, I am. Let's see what else I'm missing in the chat. Just checking it out. Well, no, you've got contours. I mean, if you look, it shoots down in here. You've got really sculpted there. I mean, really fits the hand well. You know, Alex, really, I think fits the hand well. What's nice, especially on this is the lightweight with the wire clip, you don't even feel that. There's no hot spot at all there. It just goes right into the palm of your hand, just like that, and just feels amazing. And then, like I said, that crossbar lock. Now, if you look, let me get a little light in behind that. Let me show you something. So I don't know if you can see, but when you look at that, right, you can actually see the spring that's behind the crossbar lock. It's not an Omega spring. So that's what makes this one so great. You know, and it deploys like butter, man. It's so smooth, so smooth. Reverse flicks without a problem. Well, that type does, I'm going up, but yeah, you can reverse flick it. Just fantastic. Just a fantastic, fantastic knife. Needs 3D sculpting. Well, you know, you can change the tension on the ball lock. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it. The compression lock on this is really cool too. You know. But yeah, I think either one of these would be a great choice. And like I said, I haven't experienced the Sage. That's on my list at one point. I would like to get one, but it's not a priority because I already have the other Spydercos. You know, they do make, which I'm gonna forget who makes it, but somebody's making now the titanium scales. Excuse me, for the Manix 2 lightweight. I've thought about that, but I gotta be honest, I don't mind these FRN scales. They're very grippy. You know, some people are like, they're kind of cheapish, but I really don't mind. You know. And if you're looking for a nice starting place with if you're looking for a nice starting place with Spyderco and you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you still want to get that kind of Spyderco feeling, check out the Persistence. You'll pay around $50 for it, but it has all the hallmark Spyderco elements to it. And I mean, that's the one I started with when I went to Spyderco, because I was always like, they're weird looking. And I got that one and I loved it so much. And then from there I got the others. I got the Tenacious, which the Tenacious is really great. It just doesn't have great blade steel, but that's got great ergonomics as well. It does not have a finger choil though. There's no choke up spot there. But I got my Tenacious for literally like $24. I bought it off somebody used, and I use it a lot. I use the Tenacious a lot. I use that as a definite beater as opposed to the other Spydercos. Yeah, the Persistence, Derek, is just, it's a great inexpensive knife by them, and it's not too small, it's not too big, you know, unlike this little guy. But this little Spyderco I got for a reason, because this will fit nicely into another small pouch I'm making. Actually, not a small pouch. I shouldn't say that. I'm making another survival kit. You know, um, like a, the metal tins, like the Altoids tins. I'm making another one of those. I have like 3 of them now, but I'm going to be putting this in one of those because it's so small, and it's actually a really nice functional knife. You know, so I think this will work nice in that little kit. Yeah, Bobby. That's the other thing too. Like you can find good deals on Spydercos that are used, you know, but I wouldn't go through like eBay, because who knows if they're real or if they're just frauds, you know. But you can go through like Blade Binge, or just like through like some of the Facebook groups I'm in. You know, I got people in the Facebook groups that, in some of the knife groups all the time, that are offering stuff for sale at really good prices, you know. But even through the live streams, you know, a couple of knives I bought over the last year or so were just through people in the live stream saying, "Hey, I'm selling this. Who's interested?" type of thing. Keep an eye and ear out for that. You know, I got some great deals from BEDC. I bought some stuff from him. I bought stuff from Titanium Justin. Um, just people that we know and we trust in the chats. Type of thing. But yeah, Roger, that's the place to do it too. Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Like I said, I haven't been there in years, but when I was there, that place was so goddamn impressive. That's all I could say. I love that place. And what's funny is, they have their live stream cameras that you can go in and see, like, they look down onto the store. That store hasn't changed much in years. It pretty much looks like the same layout it's been forever. I missed somewhere. Look out for clams. Look out. Okay. Gotcha. So again, is anything on anybody's radar? I know one thing I want to get, and I don't have, and that is a full size Benchmade Griptilian. I've got the mini, and I love that damn knife. It's just an amazing knife, but I'd like to get a full size Griptilian at some point. But how? Here's a question I have for you guys. I know Big Red had asked it last night. Where do you feel comfortable most price point wise? Um, and what do you consider budget? For myself, and for the sake of the channel, I consider budget. This is going to sound weird, but I consider budget like $50 and under. And I consider mid range between like $51 to like 100. And then I consider like over 100 like premium, you know, sub 60. Okay, yeah. And your ideals between 150 and 200. Right. Gotcha. Gotcha. Exact same. Yeah, I mean, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was even last week. I think budget puts a bad stigma on knives. you know. If a knife's good, it's good. It doesn't matter. Like, I hate when somebody says, I talk about this, I'm just beating a dead horse here, but I hate when somebody says, oh, it's a great knife for a budget knife. No, it's either a great knife or it's not. I don't like, I hate that. Hey, Titanium Justin, what's up, buddy? I'm on the edge. Hello there. You know, budget for you less than 100. Okay, yeah. And see, that's the thing. Everybody's got a different budget, so to speak, and where they feel comfortable spending on knives. You know, um, I'm not comfortable spending big money on knives. Like, there's no Sebenza in my future. You know, to be honest. Yeah, exactly right. It is different for everybody. See, and I'm on the edge. You're looking at 100 to 250 as mid range, where I'm looking at like $51 to 100 at mid, and then I'm looking at, say, high between like 100 and 100 and, you know, between like 100 and 200. I look at high, and then I look at like premium at like 200 or and over. You know. Well, and that's it. That's it, gentlemen of honor. Everybody's got a different, you know, budget, and everybody has a budget. I don't care how rich you are, you still have a budget. Your budget just may be bigger than everybody else's. You know. And then I'm one of those people too, and I've discussed this before. I don't know, like, I'm one of those people. I prefer quantity over high end, and that's because I like variety. You know, I'd rather have four $50 knives than one $200 knife, for the most part. You know, that's true, Joe. But I don't know. I just, for myself, you know, I can't see justifying $600 for a knife. Mm. I'll be honest, I just can't. Would you up to 80, 90 ish? Yeah, see, that's why we're all different the way we see it, you know? Ah, Bob, I used to have a big comic book collection back in the day. And unfortunately, I had a house that flooded and lost all my comic books. And I had some very expensive comic books. Yeah. Yeah, Robin, I don't doubt that, you know. That actually reminds me. I'm thinking about doing a video. I don't have a lot of clone knives, but I have some. I have probably like 4 or 5 knives that are clones. You know, um, actually rephrase that. I've got like 3 knives that are clones and 2 knives that are just counterfeit. Because again, I've said this before. If it's not a counterfeit knife, if it doesn't have a brand name on it, and they're not trying to pass themselves off as something else. Wow. Yeah, on the edge. I could never do that. But you know, but that's something that, you know, if you're comfortable with. So that's the thing. If you're comfortable with, there's nothing wrong with it. You know. Yeah, Matt. That's fine. You know, it's one of those. It's one of these. This is one of those interesting discussions. And by the way, that goes back to, I don't know if anybody was following the saga of the new Leatherman knives, and everybody is bashing those knives because of the price point at $300, and I'm right there. Um, in fact, I had a nice discussion on LinkedIn with Ben Peterson from NAFS, because he proposed a question, you know, and it got into this long philosophical, um, you know, conversation back and forth with people, you know, and that was all on LinkedIn. So if anybody's on LinkedIn, go check go check Ben out, and you can see that thread, and he was talking about it, you know, but mm, gotcha, Jim. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. Not for me. Yeah, Robin, you're right. Some of it is in the hunt. especially if you're like me. I like tracking down deals, and like if I could get something for like half of what it usually should sell for and it's legit, nothing makes me happier. I do that at supermarkets too. Dumb things like I'll go in and the first thing I look for, like my local supermarket, when they have stuff that's on clearance, they put these red tags on it. And I will go around the store looking for stuff in red tags because I love getting a bargain. I love shopping those deals, you know, um, especially when you get to the end of your receipt and it says like you saved $50 by buying, this, that, the other thing. I love that. Like to me, that's kind of makes it's a fun game. It makes my supermarket shopping fun. Yeah, exactly. They are like small victories. Definitely, Robin. 100%. Yeah, Kathleen, you are right. But what's funny about that is there are people out there spending what, $300 on like, Kenmu knives that are Chinese without even thinking about it. So I think at this point, it's not even American versus Chinese made. It's just what people perceive as a value or what they want and can afford, you know? Because there are a lot of, let's face it, a lot of Wii knives right now are in the $300-400 range, and people are buying them. You know, yeah, exactly. I would want one of. I like the new Neves knife that came out through, you know, um, through Wii knives, but that thing's like $350. I'm not going to do it. You know, um, Kathleen, not as much as you think. Actually, I was quite shocked. I was quite shocked at what the price was. So I mean, I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but I was really surprised that he's very fair, Aries. You know, um, that's all I'm going to say. He's very fair. In fact, I've spent more on production knives than I spent on the custom. Rob Willoughby, hello there. Yeah, exactly. 297 for the inmate. I really love the knife, and I don't want to spend $300 on it. You know. Oh yeah. Well, if you look now, I'm watching. I watched Metal Complex the other day, and he was talking about one of the knives he was talking about, and he was like, aluminum handles, 1428 end blade steel. He was like, for over $100. He goes, that's ridiculous. It should be around 50, but that's not realistic anymore. That's really not. If you notice, knife prices are coming up. They're just going up. The $60 Civivis are now $90 Civivis or $85 Civivis. They're not. Everything's going up, and like I said, I'm noticing knives, 1428 end blade steel, titanium handles, right? $150. It's like, no, it's 1428N. It shouldn't be. It should be 154 if, at that point. Should be S30V. Um, I don't know. I'm noticing knives are going up, and I noticed a lot of people aren't mentioning, but knives are going up. I mean, have you guys noticed that? Have you noticed that, that knives are going up? Mm. Steel handles for 300. Are we talking about? Are we talking about the new Leatherman knives? Yeah, absolutely, Roger. I get it. 100%. You're right. Absolutely, Jim. Everything's going up. 100% right. You know, but I noticed the knife prices are creeping up. But I noticed some people aren't, like I said, Metal Complex. He was kind of shocked at that knife going for over $100. And I was like thinking to myself, no, that's pretty much par for the course at this point. We're getting to that point, you know? Um, so yeah, I don't know. You know, even like, okay, here we go, the Ferrum monster, right? M390 on the Ferrum monster. And M390 is a good blade steel. Nothing to sneeze at. But the prices on the Ferrum monster, you know, 220 for this knife with M390, I don't know. Is it it's hard to say. It's hard to say. You know, the thing about the Leatherman though is, this is what you can actually, like I said, if you guys go to LinkedIn, you can see the conversation I was having with Ben Peterson. I say we're very hypocritical in the knife community because we will think, some people, not everybody, but some people will think nothing about spending $600 on a Sebenza, but then balk at $300 for the Leatherman. You know, absolutely, gentlemen of honor. And Monterey Bay is one of the best bargains out there. I think I'm shocked that they're selling those knives so inexpensively, and they're fantastic. I really want one of those, but now again, it's not the time because I'm not really in a buying space at the moment. Like I was saying to you guys before, which probably sucks because it is available now when I'm not looking. You know, and that seems to happen to me when I'm not looking for knives. They're readily available, and then when I want something, they're gone. You know. Yeah, Kathleen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I have a bunch of Benchmade, but my Benchmades, though, I don't think I've ever bought one at full price. I've usually bought them when they were on sale. When I bought my mini Griptilian was two years ago, and they were closing out the particular ones they had at Blade HQ, and I literally paid like $110 for it. Now you can't touch one for under 160. You know, I get that, Jim, but at the same time, there are companies producing knives here in America that aren't going for ridiculous amounts of money. You know, for instance, Waxed Wing, the guy in Pennsylvania. You know, his fixed blade knives are fantastic, and he's selling them for $120. They're all handmade. So you can, and with good materials, you know, you can make a knife here and not rip people off. Waxed Wing is a perfect example. He's doing it right. You know, even let's face it, the Kershaw Bel Air, a much better price point with a better steel than the Benchmade. So Benchmade is just gouging people at this point. No doubt in my mind, even though, like I said, I have Benchmade. This is my bug out right here. I love this knife. But again, I bought this one, this particular one, in that rust orange color. They're like $190. I literally bought it when it was on sale for like $120. You know, otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. And then I wound up putting $30 in scales on it. So, but that's, you know, there are companies who are making stuff in the United States, keeping the price down. The Hogue Deca, I mean, they've gone up a few, like about $20 in the last 6 months or so, but still, they're at a much better price point with a better steel than the Benchmade, than the bug out, you know? Yeah, exactly. Mind the mill. Mr. Eddie does make some great stuff too, and his prices are really, really justified, you know? But, you know, and you know, that's another thing. I've been to knife shows where, in fact, the last knife show I went to, where there are guys who are building stuff by hand, and they're charging like $300-400 for it, and I'm like, all right, I get it. You're building it by hand, but there are other makers out there who are doing the exact same thing, who are making their knives more affordable. And sometimes, I hate to say it, it's the ego of the person who's making the knife, because they're saying to themselves, And there's nothing wrong with it. They have a lot of self-confidence and a lot of self-esteem, and they think my knife is worth every bit of this. Where other makers are like, I'll price it here and I'll sell twice as many as they do. And my knife is just as good as theirs. So it's a different mindset, But I guess that's what makes the world go round. Everybody's different. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody, has a different budget. That's what makes us all unique. And that's what makes the community fun, though, because we get to have conversations about this stuff, And what's nice is we keep religion and politics out of it, and we just talk knives, and we all have a good time, and we get to hug it out and be happy. Now, here's another knife that's a great knife. Mark Perez, Loot 10 Tex, his wingspan, that's yes, it's a higher price knife, but for what that knife is, right? For what that knife is, it's a fantastic knife, and I think it's at a very fair price point. I think Mark's doing a great job with that. Well, Roger, when I was going around when I was in Lehigh Valley at that knife show, there were a lot more custom makers there than there were production makers. And there were just some amazingly beautiful knives. But all of them were great. I'm not going to lie. All those custom makers are making beautiful stuff. But there was a guy, he was making custom knives that had these really beautiful handles, but the blades were G10. Okay? There was no metal used on the blade. And they were gorgeous. He wanted like $200 for them. I'm like, it's a G10 knife. You're not even using real steel. And it was a fixed blade. And I'm like, I get the knife. I get that it's beautiful, but it's a G10 bladed knife, Hey, Chris, how are you, buddy? Doing well. I'm glad you're here. But see, Joe, I really don't have a problem with any type of deployment method. I love flipper, rear flipper tabs. I'm fine with front flipper tabs. I wasn't always. I hated front flippers, first few that I got, until I really learned how to use them. Thumb studs, love thumb studs. And I honestly hated the Spidey hole when I first got Spydercos. I hated the Spidey hole. I couldn't use the Spidey hole to save my life, But now I can reverse flick it, thumb flick it. So it's just a matter of practice, I don't know, Joe. The first knife I had with a front flipper was the Kubi Thalia, and I despised that knife when I first got it. In fact, I bought it, and I had so many problems front flicking that I put it away in the case, and I left it there for about 6 months. And then I was like, yeah, let me re-examine that knife. I took it out, and I just started playing with it. And what I find is that with certain knives, right, the angle of the studs really matters. Here, I'm going to show you this one. Oh, all right. All right, let's come back here. This is the 704 gear Urban Ranger Light. Look at how far back they positioned that thumb stud. So you have to deploy this a little differently than you would, say, the thumb stud on the CJRB Bolt. The CJRB Bolt, I can just push straight up and it's going to deploy. With this one, because of the angle of the stud, I can't push upward. I have to actually push outward. So, you know, and of course, if I put my other finger on it, you know, hey, Ron, now it's not going to work for me, right? Because I'm doing it on camera. But yeah, so with this one, I can't push up on the stud with my thumb. I have to push outward to the left, and that will make it deploy. I think every knife is different. So here we go. CJRB memorabilia. You've got that big front flipper on there. This thing is so easy to front flip, not a problem at all. In fact, on this one, I almost never use the thumb studs. I always front flip it. The front flipper on this is so easy, you know. And again, they're not every knife is the same. The way you just kind of have to get to know your knife, you know. But even this one, if you look where the thumb stud's positioned all the way up front, as opposed to this guy, where it's all the way back. So that makes it so easy on this one. This, by the way, this is a fantastic knife. This is the memorabilia, and as you guys know, I have the regular memorabilia. The regular memorabilia is a little tricky to deploy, even though it's the exact same shape, just smaller. But because of the large size on this makes it so much easier. And this is a really ergonomic knife, perfect in the hand. Jimping, really nice. So I've gotten to the point now where like I don't care the deployment method. I can work them all. You know, do I prefer a thumb stud? I mean, a rear flipper? Absolutely. Rear flippers are still my favorite, you know, because they are the easiest knife to work, you know. And depending on the shape of the flipper, you can either light switch it or you can push it. I prefer when they're light switch, by the way. But, you know, and my least favorite deployment type, nail nicks. I hate them. I hate nail nicks. That's why I don't carry tons of traditional knives. Or that's why they're I shouldn't say I don't carry them. I carry a traditional knife every day. But some of them, like my latest Rosecraft that I had, the one with the stag, I forget the name of it, but I have so many problems opening that because the walk and talk is so tight. And even this one, like if I had to do strictly by the nail nick, I'm lost because my nails wind up being brittle. I actually wind up breaking my nails when I use the nail nick. So I kind of like the fact that this one, when it closes, there's enough blade sticking out there that I can actually just get in and pull it with my hand, you know. But this Jack Wolf is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, see, and that's, you know, Alex, everybody's different with what they're comfortable with, you know? And that's why there are so many options out there. It's just that now, from using so many knives over the years, and I've gotten comfortable with just about everything, you know? But nail nicks is still my least favorite. Now, reverse flicking is not my favorite. I can do it, but it's not my favorite. See, that was my fault. I hit it with my finger, but that wanted to fly right out of there, you know. But yeah, so I can do it. That time I used the front flipper on this, but I find it easiest to reverse flick on Spydercos. I mean, they're just made to do that. You know, it's like when they designed this, they said, "What's the best way to deploy this?" Reverse flick. or as most people call it, the Spidey flick. And, you know, I bet, Bob, is the more we use them, they'll break in. Now, this one is still so new. You know, this I only got on Monday, so I'm sure the more I work this, it's going to become easier over time. It'll loosen up, you know. But I mean, the walk and talk's amazing on this. But yeah, I'm sure this will loosen up over time. Oh, by the way, check this out. Look at the sharpening choil they did on there. That is really excellent. That's something that I think they did better on this than they've done on Rosecrafts. And I love Rosecraft. You know, Rosecraft is probably, for me, in my top 5 knife companies. I love everything Rosecraft has done. There hasn't been a knife from them that I don't like. So, which is why when they send me knives, I have no problem promoting them, and because I really feel strongly about the product. You know. Brand New American, what's up? How you doing, buddy? But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. You know, like I said, this knife before, the one I showed you guys, this Flissa, with no thumb stud, no front flipper. They put that kind of spidey hole there, the thumb hole, and my thumb actually doesn't fit in it. Oh wait, I got it. It actually flipped for me. Hold on. Maybe I'm misjudging this. Then again, like I said, this just came in for me to check out and review, but oh wait, yes, okay, I can get it with my thumb. I just have to put a little flick in the wrist on it to give it more power, but okay. That's good stuff right there. Let's see if I can do it again. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, not easy. You have to kind of just get this one right. No, see, this is one. It's so tight. It's brand new. I might even want to loosen up the pivot about a quarter turn, I think. But seeing this one, how did I get that just a couple of seconds ago? There we go. Okay, so I figured this one out. So on this one, going back to how you have to deploy it differently, instead of pushing out, I have to actually push this one forward. I have to push up on it with my thumb in the hole as opposed to out. See, and it's kind of what we were talking about. Every knife's a little different, you know. Michael Upchurch, hello there. How you doing today? All right. Give me 1 second, guys. I have to go grab something else to drink. I drank through my whole coffee. Be right back. All right. All right, I'm back with iced tea in hand. Quit point and a drop point. Nice. So it's 11:40, which is kind of cool. We're moving along pretty good. Got a nice big crowd tonight. I appreciate that. You know. Yeah. Ron Null knives, man, they're making some really great stuff. Even though I don't have one, but I'm looking at them, staring at them, saying, well, they're not at my price point right now, you know, but they are making some killer stuff. Anybody have any experience with Katsu knives, by the way? I'm real interested in a couple of their models. They seem pretty affordable. They seem pretty nice, but I don't know anybody who's actually has them. I haven't seen many reviews on them unless I just missed reviews at some point. But, you know, Katsu, anyone? Anyone? Katsu? Bueller? Bueller? Oh, you have two of them, Ron. What do you think of them? Just curious. Bueller. Yep. Hello there, Leon. Welcome in. They're really good. That's good to know, Ron. You know, Tucson is another company that I have a few of them. I like Tucson. Um, what I like about Tucson is they make some really nice knives where they're priced at like the $80 range, but if you would get them from other companies with those same materials, they'd probably be about 120. So they're keeping their price a little bit lower. I don't know if it's because they're still semi-new to the market and trying to break through and get a bunch of people on board. I mean, Tucson literally has like 200 or 300 models of knives. I don't know how they pump them out so fast, but the three I have are really good, and they look cool too. That's cool, Ron. Very good. So that I will keep them in my wish list. You know, I'm gonna on Amazon. I have like 3 different wish lists for knives. I have a list of budget knives around the $20 price point. I've got a good value list of knives that I have on there, which knives I think are really good values for what they're charging compared to what they are. And then I have another one of just, I wouldn't say, I call it grail knives, not necessarily grail knives, because you don't really get grail knives from Amazon. At least I wouldn't, for the most part, unless you're buying it directly from like, Spyderco store or Benchmade store directly on Amazon, but I'd rather just go to them direct, type of thing. But I have multiple lists there, and same thing like on all the different, whether it's Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Blade HQ, White Mountain. I have wish lists on all of them, separated in different categories. You know, Rocksteed. Okay. Um, I don't know, Bob. I mean, like I said, I have 3 of them. The 3 that I have really good. I've had nothing but great experience with them. Um, and it might be price point too, because I don't know what other people have reviewed. Because I really haven't seen a lot of people talk about them, except for G Balls had a couple of them and he liked them, but I haven't seen a lot of people. You know, oh Roger, I love Wixco. Um, I've reviewed 3 of their knives so far. The first one I bought on my own, which was the Paxton, and I love the Paxton. I did that review, and then Wixco saw that I did the review of that, and then they sent me 3 knives after that to review. One still I still have to put a review up for it, but I really like what they're doing. I mean, they are the sub brand of Ferrum. So Ferrum is doing great stuff, and now the Wixco, they are doing a fantastic job. And their price points are pretty fair as well. You're talking about like $69 up to like $89 in that price point, depending on which model you're going with and what materials. I think they're just a banger of a knife. Really nice designs, and I speak highly of them. Yes, the Azor does look pretty good. I don't have that one yet. Um, you know. But yeah, I just think they're doing a great job. Oh, fixed blade by Tucson. I have not experienced any of their fixed blades yet. Oh, that's right, Ron. Jared did do a bunch of reviews on some of their stuff a while back, but I don't think it's anything recently that I've seen. I could be wrong on that, but I haven't seen him do, I haven't seen Neves do anything new. Oh, okay, Leon. Gotcha. Yeah, see here, it's a little different with Amazon because a lot of the actual knife companies have their own stores on Amazon. So like you can buy directly from Spyderco's store on Amazon. Um, Reason why I don't do it with them, I mean, I'll do it on inexpensive stuff, is because I prefer to go through through a somewhere like Smoky Mountain Knife Works or any of the big American retailers where you get points, and then you can use those points for discounts and that sort of thing. So those points add up. That's why. Plus, also too, a lot of knife reviewers have discount codes. You know, McRanger, what's up? Craig Vincent, hello there. Welcome in. Like for instance, I have on Fintizo, I've got a discount code, a 10% off code that people can use. So if I'm buying Fintizo, I'll actually just buy it directly through them rather than going through Amazon because one, I can use my own code, which is kind of cool. And anything $50 and over, they have free shipping on anyway. Now it's not as fast as Amazon. It might take a week, but I'd rather go that way. Oh yeah, that's why you have to be careful. Oh, Walmart's the worst. Like Walmart, you're not people think they're buying through Walmart and they're not. It's usually most of the time now it's a third party seller. You have to be careful with that. Especially since I've seen Benchmade bug outs going for like $89 on Walmart's site. Now this wasn't recently. This was about a year ago, and I was like, clearly it's not a real bug out. And that look, it's a third party seller. It's not really Walmart. So there's that. But like I said, I would rather go through, some of the big knife retailers here because one, even if I don't have a discount code for it, one of my friends does. Whether it's Lefty, whether it's Bees, Neves, everybody's got their own discount codes. So you can punch in discount codes. It helps the channels out. You save a little bit of money, and you wind up building points. I mean, I've got a ton of points from Blade HQ, and and that's the thing. Since I buy from different companies, I don't always stay with the same one, but Walmart does have the Ozark Rail. They have it in orange, black, and olive green. So, we make fun of the Ozark Rail, but I've got two of them. For what they are, they're not bad. For $10 knives, the two I had have great lockup. They're dead centered. Have a good night, Greg. Appreciate you being here. Absolutely, and I always appreciate your support. But yeah, if you're looking for a cheap beater knife, I don't think you can go wrong with the Ozark Rail. I know some people have had problems with them, but I also think too, you can kind of, you kind of look at it and see, right away. And what's great is if you buy it in the store at Walmart, you can just open it up right in the parking lot, and if it's not centered, just bring it in and tell them it's wrong, and go have them grab you another one. I did that not with them. At Tractor Supply, I was buying a traditional knife, and I could see in the package that it was that the one they had was not centered, and I was just like, hey, I was like, give me, let's go through them, and I went through like the different packages because they were in a clamshell package you could see in. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, 1931 Leatherworks, everybody's different, I have, like, you guys know, I paid the butterfly tax on a lot of stuff, but I just don't have a problem with the Ozark Grail. In fact, I have a friend at work who I gave an Ozark Grail to because I had to take away his damn knife that he had. He does music. He does music production and whatnot, and he had this knife, and I want to say it was one of the brands that Lowe's used to sell, or Home Depot. It wasn't. It's not Ozark Trail, but it's like one of those type of names that used to be sold at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And with that being said, this knife had such a bad lockup. So when your blade's open, your frame lock sits right behind the blade, and you usually want like 30 to 50%. His frame lock on his knife was so far over that it wouldn't lock the knife in place. I even took the thing apart and tried to repair it, and I did get it fixed. But as soon as like you deployed it, it wanted to do that same thing where it would just go right to the other side, and then it wouldn't lock. And he was like, no. I was like, no. I was like, you're getting rid of that knife. I was like, before you get hurt, And like I said, he does a lot of like live music and stuff, and he's always cutting things like gaffer's tape with it, and cable ties and that kind of stuff. Nothing too heavy duty. But I was like, you're gonna cut your fingers off with this knife. So I took his knife and I gave him an Ozark Trail, and he's very happy with it because, like I said, he's just cutting paper, cutting tape, cutting wire ties and that sort of thing, But well, that's exactly gentleman of honor. Like I said, I gave it to my friend and I took his other knife away, and his other knife is still sitting at work in my desk. I'm determined that I'm going to take it home one of these days and really take it. Like I took it apart at work and tried to straighten it out, but I think I need to get it on a vise so I can bend the frame lock back. But it's probably not worth the problem because it's probably like, a $15 Home Depot knife. It's annoying me because I can't remember the name on it, but it was one of those brands that Home Depot and Lowe's used to sell dirt cheap. You can buy a set of like around Christmas time of like 10 knives, and they would all be, that kind of knife. But like I said, I gave him the Ozark Grail, and he's fine with it. And now I know he's not going to cut his finger off. So we're approaching midnight, and I'm going to jump off at that point because, like I said, originally I wasn't even going to come on, and then I got a second wind, and I'm enjoying this with you guys. This is great, and I like this setup because I can actually read what's going on in the chat. I felt bad last week because I didn't have the iPad up, and you guys know I tell you all the time I have trouble seeing the little screen. I missed a lot of what was going on in the chat. And my wife was like, the people were asking you questions and you missed it. And I was like, ooh, felt really bad. I don't know how guys like Metal Complex reads very little of what's in his chat because there's so many things going on in his chat. Bees does a good job with the amount of people he has. He does really try and catch a lot of it, Perfect noob. Yes. I mean, depending on what your price point is, but you can get something like, let's see, what do I have here? All right, if you want a decent knife at like a $25 price point, this 704 gear, this is the Urban Scout Light. This one, thumb stud deployable. Oops. Bar lock, 14C28N, G10. This is the version 2. I would definitely recommend this, Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you being here. I would recommend this if you're looking for an inexpensive knife that will do well, come sharp out of the package, decent blade steel, you know, at a $25 price point, absolutely. I would do this all day, every day. And the action on it is really good. Now, if you're looking for, instead of a thumb stud, they have, you have to look, there are a couple of models that they have that have a flipper, which might make it easier if you're, if you're new to knives. Flippers are always easier to deploy, you know. Let's see, do I have anything here? I don't have anything handy right now that would have a flipper that would be inexpensive. But definitely, what you could look for too? I was going to say a mini Praxis, the Civivi mini Praxis. It'll be $29. You can actually go to Walmart locally to you and grab it because they carry it in store, or you can order it through any of the dealers. It's a $30 knife, D2 steel, rear flipper, great ergos, and it will hold up really well, you know. And the pyrite as well. But I'm thinking Mick, because he's a beginner, that the mini Praxis with the rear flipper is a little bit easier than the pyrite with the thumb stud, you know. But yeah, the pyrite, you know. Well, the Glide Lock Raccoon is not bad. It's a little bit higher in price, which it's actually a great knife. I love my raccoons. Yeah, the other thing too is, what's nice about the mini Praxis? There's a shit ton of aftermarket parts. So if you did want to buy it and then say change scales on it, they're readily available. I mean, I have my mini pyrite has red scales on it. They don't sell it with red scales, but I bought red aftermarket scales and put them right on. It was so easy to do. So, the pyrite glow, definitely. I know what you meant, McRanger. The Glide Lock Penguin. But you could also do the Bar Lock Raccoon. You know, um, the Bar Lock Raccoon's a nice knife too. But like I said, I think for a beginner, I think the mini Praxis might be the way to go because of the rear flipper. It just makes it easier to deploy. The liner lock's easier to work when you first get a knife. And that's a knife that you're going to have for a long time. It's not one you're going to outgrow. It's always going to be a functional, good knife. So definitely think that might be the way to go. The mini Praxis. That's my vote. But nice, Alex. Yeah, Yeah, correct. That's actually pretty good. The Bunta, the petrified fish Bunta, is one of my favorite all-time knives. It's not expensive. It's like $28 or so. And I mean, that's a rear flipper. It'll take a beating. It's good materials, But all right, folks, we're just about at midnight. So I'm going to sign off here. And I thank you so much. Like I said, next week we will probably be monetized. I can't see it being actually going past another day or two. And then we'll have some fun. We'll figure out some things. We're going to figure out some emojis, all that kind of stuff. We're going to have stuff from members. There might be a prize for the first person who signs up as a member. I don't know. That just might be a hint. But, so, all right, Bobbies, I appreciate it. All right, guys, and girls. I love all of you. Big hug. And you know the deal. As I always say, until we meet again, keep your blade sharp. All right, guys, have a great night.